There you go.
Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, good evening. My name is Sean Igo. I'm the chairman of the Yarmouth Zoning Board of Appeals. We will now convene the May 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Yarmouth Zoning Board of Appeals. This is a hybrid meeting and is being recorded. We will begin by taking a roll call for quorum. Mr. Martin?
Here.
Ms. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Frapery?
Here.
Mr. Mantoni?
Here.
And I am here. A quorum is present. We will now begin the meeting. The first petition on our agenda tonight is petition 5174. This is a continued matter from April 24th, 2025. Mary Jane Yeoman's property location at 40 Lorena Road, West Yarmouth, Mass. It's in an R25 zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit per 104.3.2 subparagraph 2 and/or in the alternative of variance from section 203.5 to increase the height of a non-conforming structure to construct a second floor addition and roof deck.
Good evening. Am I up? Okay.
Yes, could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Yes, for the record, my name is Dr. Marilyn Brown. My husband, Dr. Frank Southworth, behind me, and I co-own the property at 40 Lorena Road in South Yarmouth. May I offer a few remarks?
Hold on, ma'am. We need to have everyone identify
I
themselves.
see. Okay.
Mary Jane Yeoman's contractor.
Stanley Crawford, contractor.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, ma'am, you may proceed.
All right, thank you. And thank you for considering our request for a permit to complete the new dormer that was partially built during this past winter. We appreciate the roles that you play on the Zoning Board of Appeals and apologize that you have to deal with this unpermitted work that took place on our property this winter. Since purchasing our home in 2014, we have contracted home improvements to be done by Mike's Powerhouse Crew, a contractor that Frank and I selected from Home Depot's approved vendor database. We were not on the premises and did not oversee the work that was done during the winters when we were both teaching at Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta. Over the past 5 years, we have had many inspections of our house when we were present during the summer. One occurred when our electricity system was interconnected with our rooftop solar panels. Almost every year, we have had home inspections to obtain certifications to rent our home. During those times, we have, for instance, upgraded the circuit box for this solar project. And we have added a storm door for the approval to be certified and to rent. Various other changes were made at those times, and we thought that all was therefore in good order. We did not realize that our contractor had not permitted the work that had previously been done, and each time was being viewed during these inspections. The neighborhood has been very welcoming. We have good relations with all of our neighbors, and particularly with my niece, also a neighbor, who introduced me to West Yarmouth and is the reason that I'm here. This is not an investment property. This is our summer home. The engineering report by Deputy Building Commissioner Tim Sears identified a number of concerns. I don't know to what extent we will be able to address a path forward for each of these, but we are willing and able to talk and want to know what we need to do. In the meantime, though, we are hoping for an agreement that we might be able to proceed with the current dormer. It's the middle of a nor'easterly. We're worried about the fact that it's partly completed. While it is covered, it's still in danger, in my opinion. Following all of this, though, I did want to say in conclusion that our contractor abandoned the current job when a stop work order was issued. And we are very grateful that Stanley Crawford has agreed to complete the renovation subject to approval of our permit request. He is here to answer any detailed questions you might have about the plans, and so is Mary Jane Yeomans. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, the last time you were before us, we asked you to do a few things, and I'm going to go over them with you right now. You were to provide access to the building department, which you did, and I have a memorandum from them, which I'm going to read into the record in just a minute. The building department to inspect and provide a written report to the board on what they find, including the upstairs and the basement. Again, that is contained in the memorandum. Petitioner to provide updated site plan with the distance from the deck to the side lot line. I think we have that, if I'm correct. I'm looking at that right now. Petitioner to provide detailed floor plan, i.e. a plan that would use to build it. Well, that's kind of questionable, but we can talk about that. Okay. And the petitioner to provide elevation plan with design change on the right elevation, and petitioner to sign an extension agreement, which I think you did. The elevations, well, I don't know that we need the elevations right now, so I think we can proceed. Let me just drop my memorandum. Okay, well, the building department went out, and let me just read into the record their memorandum. It's a memorandum dated May 13th, 2025, to myself, Yarmouth Zoning Board of Appeals Chair, from Mark Grills, Municipal Inspections Director / Building Commissioner. Subject, 40 Lorena Road site visit. Deputy Building Commissioner Tim Sears conducted a site visit on May 6, 2025, and observed the following. Basement finished, including a half bath, does not appear to meet the definition of a dwelling unit. No permits on file. 3 dormers constructed, 2 on the rear, 1 on the front. The dwelling contains 3 bedrooms in total, which includes 1 bedroom in the finished rear dormer and 1 bedroom on the second floor. There are also 2.5 bathrooms. It appears that the original dwelling only contained 1 bathroom. Aerial pictures from October 5th, 2018 indicate the roof did not have dormers at that time. No permits on file. Rear deck enlarged. No permits on file. Shed contained only tools. However, the shed has been replaced in the past few years with a much larger shed, which appears to be in the front setback. Aerial picture from March 27th, 2019 indicates a new shed. Images from prior years do not show a shed in the back corner and potentially a much smaller shed in the backyard. No permits on file. All unpermitted work will require proper applications, both electrical and building, as well as demolition sufficient enough to prove work done to all relevant codes. At a minimum, the shed will require a shed permit and potentially relief from the ZBA due to location. Attached site visit photos, which I think we all have. Okay. All right. Who's going to present for you tonight? Ma'am?
Aaron,
Since I don't know what that means, I'll let you.
Well, who's going to do the talking for you? Are you or your representatives? Perhaps someone with some
Point by
technical
A
knowledge.
little bit of all of us, I think.
Oh, all of you, okay. Well, who am I directing my questions to?
What are you addressing at this point? Are you addressing the past work or the permitting request to go forward?
Now, we've kind of gone over the past work. We know that, we know, well, tell me what you've done with your plan to address some of our concerns.
Oh, I can address that.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right. It was our understanding that the aesthetics of the house on the east side was felt, of the house, of the dormer, proposed dormer on the east side, not well suited to the windows that had been proposed, and so we took your advice and changed to standard windows, of which there are now are two, facing that side. That was one thing we did do. And the roof line is slightly adjusted as well. Stan, you want to speak to that?
The extension of the roof to be flush with the center
You're
of the
gonna need to
house.
pull that microphone. Why don't you come on up in here, sir?
We were gonna move the ridge forward to be centered with the house, which what you guys
it's an
proposed.
alignment.
So it looked better from the side.
Right.
On the elevation
Okay,
side.
so what's the new pitch in the roof?
It's gonna stay the same pitch. You're just gonna extend it another 2 feet.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm not really seeing anything much different than what's there right now. I also don't see a schedule of windows. Is this the plan that you'd submit to ask for a building permit?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
They have the
Well-
roof on.
okay.
The roof line, all you wanted, existing pitch was there. You just wanted it to go to the center of the building. to make it
What
look
we
better.
wanted that dormer that was in the back that shows up over
Right,
the
to
roof
come
line.
all the way to the center of the
disappear.
building, the center ridge,
Yeah,
which will be done.
so where do I see that?
It's on the new proposal that we sent in.
There's a
No,
drawing.
that's the
Give me a
front.
sheet for reference.
You have the new stuff? No, just be one more at the side. It was with this one.
This one here, it says second
Front
floor.
elevation? Mr. Chairman, the building commissioner has pointed out that it's the May 12th dated item called front
Okay,
elevation.
I have that right in front of me. Okay. Thank you. Everybody has that one on the board?
When is this
We're all
front
looking at that
elevation?
one?
May 12th,
Dated May 12th?
front elevation.
Yeah, did you ever get the front?
It's this one.
It's the side and the
Single
the
sheet.
rear.
Yeah.
It shows the two casement windows instead of the two hopper
Oh, here it
windows.
is, here's the front. Right here,
Maybe they're talking about this here.
right. The front elevation,
Talking about this one.
okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at the front of the house, I guess. If you have it labeled as front elevation. Everybody see that one?
Yep.
Okay. So this is your proposed, what you're proposing is you're going to have a small gable that comes forward that we're gonna be seeing from the street, correct?
Yes,
And the rest of that's gonna disappear?
yes.
Okay, so that roof line right now, is that the original roof line in the front?
Yes.
Okay,
We bought it, yep.
Yeah.
all right. So you're gonna have to increase the pitch on the roof, aren't you? Aren't you gonna lift the roof up
No,
and extend your rafters to come up and make that other part
no,
disappear?
because if you look at the side elevation where the dormer is, it comes in to your center
Doghouse.
ridge.
Doghouse.
If you look at the back elevation, you see what the double window is, and then the side elevation, it goes into the existing house.
I don't think that's what they were talking about.
And so how are you gonna make that disappear? What's extending over the entire roof right now?
There's a little piece on the top from the front elevation you're gonna see.
Yeah, the little triangle,
That's gonna be flush with the
I
existing
see that,
ridge.
yeah, yeah.
that will be visible.
Hold on one second. Do we have a picture of the existing conditions right now?
The property card is attached to the.
All right, hold on here.
This one originally was drawn
Let me just
short.
show.
Think I have.
Two windows right here.
That was the 3 office.
All I'm seeing here is aerial photos. We have an existing front
This is
elevation.
existing.
There's a property card attached to the
Brought
application,
over.
and there's a photo of the front of the structure in that.
As it shows right now?
No,
When she bought it, that's when she bought it.
Yeah, we know what we know what it used to look like.
there's a dormer there now that's not on that property card, as well as the peak.
That does
But
show
it
the
does show it on
elevation.
this.
Yeah. That's the only
Right.
one we have to-
Okay, so moving along, the only thing you're going to show then is just that one peak in the back. The rest of
Yes.
it will disappear.
Right, you won't see it in the street.
Okay. Right?
And on the drawing, which shows the two windows that are now facing east, it's called the right elevation. There's also a very nice drawing of what the back of the house will look like, and it will be a significant improvement.
And where is this?
That's on the second floor,
Is that the May 8th document?
yeah, the one from April.
The newest stuff.
Can't remember.
Are you talking about the lower right-hand corner, that small little drawing?
Yes, they're all very tiny. Yep.
Okay. We would have liked to seen something a bit more to scale. I thought that's what we were gonna have here tonight.
I have
Not our
scaled blueprints, but
understanding,
my truck broke down.
Okay. All right, you know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna let the board members ask some questions. I'm gonna come back because I have some other comments I wanna go over, but we're gonna... Dick, do you have any questions for the petitioners?
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on here, and looks like there's been a lot of things done over recent years that were completely unpermitted, which is very concerning. Yeah, in addition to the roof lines and how they set up and how they look, which is, I mean, we just see a little tiny peak on the latest plan given. If you look from the side, though, it looks like it's a lot higher. That would bother me.
It's 2 feet.
The, this is in RS-25 zone, so the setbacks on the house, I mean, it's already way too close to so-called Priscilla Road, which is actually,
Lorena.
yeah. The only setback that seems to be maybe conforming would be Lorena Road. We require 30 feet on both those sides. Now, granted, that house, the main house was built at a time, well, I don't know how they got away with it then either, and actually, if you go back to the previous seeking of relief, they were not granted it then. I also have troubles with the shed. Shed's too big. It's within 2 feet of the sideline, which means it's non-conforming in all respects. It's also over the leaching field, which makes it real non-conforming, I think. I mean, there's a lot of issues going on here, and I mean, I don't mind the house being improved and enlarged and so forth, but, you know, that can be tough to do when you're dealing with such a small lot to begin with. But that's all I have for now.
May I comment?
Yep.
Yeah. So the house was built in 1950, and it's on a corner lot, as you know, which makes it very difficult to not violate the now zoning setback requirements. We are not increasing the size, the footprint of the
it's my-
house.
I may be wrong, but even since the 50s, I think the setback was 30 feet from the streets. The sideline setbacks, which in a corner lot like this would have two sidelines, that would be 15 feet. Now, actually, when it was built, it would have been 6 feet. But the shed doesn't, even a shed that's less than, 150 square feet,
150, yeah.
is supposed to meet that sideline setback, which would have been 6 feet. And being over the septic system is a big problem.
If you look down our backyard across the adjacent properties, everyone has one after the other shed lined up.
And as long as they're 6 feet from a sideline and less than 150 square
It's
feet,
okay.
that's okay. I don't know, without looking at a whole bunch of things, as to whether somebody's got a great big one or not, and so forth.
Talking from the back line?
I'm talking
Or
about
from
the
street?
sideline along,
So from the street, she's. gotta
along
be-
along Andrina.
Right, so she's got a lot more than 6.
What's that again?
You got a lot more than 6 feet from Landrina Street to the
No,
shed.
no, no.
No, from the sideline for the next house up by on Andrina.
Boland's property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here.
Uh,
Space right here.
And so that's non-conforming and would certainly need relief, and we don't typically like to do sheds that are that close to the lot line, even though there are some of them out there, no doubt about it. So, I mean, I don't know, there's just a lot of issues here, but I'll let my other board members.
We had in our backyard entirely enclosed with fences when we bought it.
Yeah.
And the shed is
Unfortunately,
within the fence, so we thought that
I can see why you'd think that.
Would be
And
okay.
unfortunately, it's always best to come to town hall and find out what's going on. And what you would need relief from at that time, and that should have been done and hadn't been done for any number of years, apparently.
the fence, oh, okay.
I mean, some things that were done prior to you, and I understand that that's, yeah,
And 6 feet from
unfortunate.
back fence.
Anything else at this time, Dick?
And 6 feet.
May have more.
Okay. Barbara, do you have any questions for the petitioner?
I think I'm just dismayed that no permits were ever pulled for any of this, and I think I pretty much can't get beyond that. So,
Okay. Jay, any questions for the petitioner?
A couple of things. One, obviously, the permits, I think no matter what happened, they'd have to go through the process of pulling all appropriate permits and working with the building department to make sure whatever necessary changes were needed to allow all inspections, et cetera. So at minimum, I would think that would be a condition of whatever we come up with. How large is that shed?
It's 8 by 8.
It looks a lot bigger than that.
64 square feet, that's it?
Yeah, pretty sure it's 8 by 8.
It's the biggest 8x8 I've ever seen.
In a while, so it could be 10 by 10, but I didn't go out and measure it.
It's less than 150 square feet.
I'd want to,
No bigger than 10 by 10.
I'd want to know exactly how large that is, square foot,
I could get
and,
it.
and if it's more than 150 square feet, then we have a lot of other issues to deal with, as far as like the size and the how close it is to the, so I'd
Because
want to
it's
know
got
that at
text
minimum.
111 on it, and it's 2 sheets.
What's that?
It's got text of 111 on it, and it's 2 sheets wide, so it's 8 by 8,
Yeah,
pretty
4
sure.
foot wide, that's 8 foot, yeah.
Okay, well, I'd want to see a real.
I'll get
a real
exact
spec for
size
it,
and
Yes.
we could-
So that's one, those are some of the questions. So I think my biggest thing are, what's how large is the shed currently? Because looks like it's a question. And then obviously all building permits. are a problem. As far as your request, I mean, the design is not my favorite, but it is what it is. You know, if all those things could be done, I could see how there's a possibility that we could approve a building, approve something that might give you the height that you're looking for. Because this, again, how tall is it at that very peak?
Right now, the existing house is 16'8", I think, and the new proposed is 18'8". It's 2 foot difference.
Okay, so, I mean, that's well within what you can do, I think, from a height perspective. I think your issue is going to be more the permits and things like that that aren't pulled.
But we understand all the other stuff has to be taken care of.
That's all I have.
But on this particular
Okay.
permit that we're
sorry.
looking
John?
to secure, do you have any issues with that particular aspect of the project itself? I know you have concerns about all these other things.
right.
But I'm looking at this one particular project that,
You can look at that, but
Yeah.
we would be a condition that all those other things have to be
yeah.
taken
Yeah,
care
we
of first
understand that has to be
yeah,
done.
absolutely.
before we would approve anything. I'm sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Anything else, Jay,
That's it.
at this time? Okay. John, do you have any questions or comments you wish to make?
Just a couple. You know, I was curious about the size of the shed as well. So this drawing here, is this how I drove by it, but I can't recall.
Instead of right more.
And is this how it would look right now if I look
Yeah.
at it?
The front.
So basically, that rear dormer, you're not doing anything to that. It's staying the way it is.
That's where this proposed dormer is going, is at the rear.
You're just extending it further out,
Yeah.
a little bit closer to the roof ridge
Right.
line. That's what they're doing.
Okay, gotcha. And then you're putting a deck on
Right, then there'd be a deck off to the side.
off to the side. Yeah, I just wanted some understanding. The other thing is, on this, one of these plans, there's a proposed garage.
Yes, that was Mike down the road, not now.
Okay, so that's got nothing to, this is not,
Nothing to do with
you're not looking for any relief for that.
No.
Okay. All right, I've got a pretty good understanding of what's going on. I'm all set. Thank you, Sean.
Chairman, I had another question to.
Go ahead,
the-
Dick.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the aerials of the deck, it looks like there's just a tiny bit of the deck jutting out toward the house on Lorena. And then if I look at the plan to show what's there now, it looks like it's a lot more than that, encompassing the outside shower and so forth. So apparently that deck is also newer and would come under setbacks now, which would make that built illegally and not to code as well.
Okay.
There's a drawing of that deck, which is almost identical to the current location of the deck on one of the other, all right, on this drawing that has the photo of the house. It shows that there were 2 windows on either side. There was an attic. There also was a workshop when we bought the house that had a sink in it, and it shows that there was the deck that wraps around. It's almost identical to the current proportions. This is,
The guy that did the deck
I
just changed.
That's
the decking.
identical to the
frame.
2021 air view I'm looking at, but newer diagrams here show that going much closer to that lot line. So apparently that deck was added on to without proper
That-
permitting.
we did have to replace that rotting deck. This deck
But
was,
it doesn't mean you can just enlarge it.
it didn't get very enlarged.
Yeah,
There was a rationale for it. We were trying to stretch it so that the outdoor shower could be attached to the deck,
Yeah, well,
which
if
it
you look
now
at the
is.
newer plans, it shows the outdoor shower, encompassed by the deck, when the older plans show it, and pictures show it to the side of the deck, which went to the so-called rear of the house. So that's enlarged toward the property on
Substantially.
Lorena Road.
Oh, yeah. It's, and it, It's not a deck, it's a patio. It is
not
not
attached.
elevated and it's not attached. I would call it a patio. I think that the dictionary is consistent with that interpretation of the use of the word patio. If that makes any difference, I don't know.
It does to us, ma'am.
It could if it met the definition of patio.
But it doesn't. It meets the definition of a deck.
Well, more particularly meets the definition of a structure, which is defined in the back of the zoning bylaw. So if it was built on the ground, it's a structure.
Still structure.
And the document that you just showed, Mr. Chairman, this is Mark Grills, Building Commissioner.
The floor is yours, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you. The document that you just showed is actually from the assessors. The assessors don't declare whether or not something is permitted properly. They're there to tax you. So they want to measure the structures that you have in order to tax you. Another comment I have about the shed, it's not just the size of the shed that's an issue, it's the deck that's attached to the front of it, which increases the footprint, which may put you over the 150 square feet, which would require you to be 30 feet from Priscilla Road and 15 feet from the adjoining property at 2 Andrina. Regardless of the size of the shed, you still need to be 30 feet from the roadway. That is your front setback. Every structure needs to be 30 feet without relief from the board. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr.
We would like to seek relief from the board because the 30-foot setback from the small side of the house, Andrina Road, is just, I understand in previous cases that corner lots have been given some accommodations.
They are on their sidelines, but not necessarily, we have sometimes given relief for that. Well, this is quite a bit of relief.
You have to take the deck off.
Well,
The
in
deck,
terms
take the
of your-
deck.
Shed.
Take the deck off the shed.
So now your footage
Fine.
is drops.
Well, ma'am, before you take the deck off the shed, that's going to require relief, and you haven't asked for that tonight, so we can't grant you relief relative to the shed. We can only grant you relief on what you've asked for. So that's not on tonight's table.
Okay.
So you're going to have to come back on that one. Unless you find a place to move it that meets the setbacks, then you won't have to come back. But I'm not quite sure on this lot if that's going to be possible. Are there any other questions from the board? Ma'am, when did you buy this house?
2014.
2014, okay. And that finished basement right there, your property card says it's unfinished. When was that finished?
3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, and who did that work?
That was Mike Yeomans, the Mike's
Mike's
Powerhouse crew.
Okay. So you said Mike Yeomans. Is this the same Yeomans as Mary Jane Yeomans?
Unfortunately, I'm related, yes.
And how are you related to Mike?
He's a sibling.
Okay, brother, sister? Okay. All right. That's just curious.
I have no control over that,
That's really not before us tonight.
not the
Okay.
issue at hand.
All right. Okay, so that was finished off, and it appears to me, by looking at the pictures, that that is livable space down there. I see kitchen cabinets down there, I see a bathroom down there, I see what appears to be a pull-out couch, so I'm at a separate entrance. So do you rent that out separately?
No, we absolutely do not rent the basement out separately. In fact, we have on the Airbnb a maximum, Frank, is it 6 adults? 3 bedrooms, we advertise 3 bedrooms.
Okay, how many okay, so 3 bedrooms. All right, well, I'm looking at your plan here, your proposed plan. And let me see what sheet we're working on here. I guess it would be the last sheet, well, I think you got everything listed as A1. This shows the 3 different levels, the first floor plan, the second floor plan, and the lower floor plan. Now, on the first floor plan, you show 2 bedrooms and you show a study, you show a kitchen, so you got 2 bedrooms on that floor. Then you go up to the second floor, and you have, I guess that's a bedroom there, outside the roof deck, go onto the roof deck from there. But this other room that's sitting there, what is that? This big,
That's the proposed.
That is the proposed art studio for my husband, Frank Southworth. You can see some of his art, by the way, in photographs that you have in front of you. And he would be the principal occupier of that
Residence.
artist in residence. The room is not going to be completely finished. That is, it will not have 4 walls. It has an open area, open space to the north. Hope I got my
Light, yes.
for the light. And he there will be no closet in that, no bed. There'll be a lot of easels.
well, what if you just decide to Airbnb it, then what?
We cannot Airbnb it for more bedrooms than we have approved for occupancy. That's,
You've gone through the town for that already.
we've already had many inspections over that. It's been discussed by those who've come to certify our Airbnb rental.
We don't get that many people in
We don't rent that much. We're talking 3 or 4 times a summer when we're not there, when we leave during the summer. I mean, we come for the summer, but occasionally, almost every year, we go to Europe. You might have detected my husband's European. So during those times, we like to rent.
Okay. You know, I guess one of the issues that I have, this is only a 6,500 square foot lot. And there's a lot going on all over this lot, in the interior as well as the exterior. So I would be inclined, if we were going to approve this new second deck floor, that you strip that cellar down to the bare minimum and have it just storage. Would that be something that you'd be willing to entertain?
It is my office when I'm there. I have to have a place for
Well,
my,
can't you, well, how about the study that's on the first floor? Why can't that be your office?
because it's too open. You come down the stairs and you're right there.
Well, if you took the
I mean, I
cabinets
can
out,
take the cabinets out.
Just
Those
have some
were,
rock walls,
those
plain
were just
walls.
gifted to us. You know, hand-me-down cabinets. Yeah, I can take those off.
Take the sink out.
No, I don't want to take the sink out.
No, the one outside.
No, not even the one outside. But surely we can get rid of some of the unappealing furniture.
Right.
Yes, right?
Well, I think, at least from my perspective, I've got real concerns with this property. It's just been unpermitted for everything that whoever wanted to do it just decided to do it. And now I won't put words in your mouth, but I think what you're asking us to do is just to prove what you have, and you're sorry, and it'll never happen again. Is that what you're saying to us tonight?
I'm saying the basement is a office, principally an office. Welcome to take a peek at,
I have pictures of it right here.
yeah, but I don't think you could see the office section. I don't know, maybe you
But
could.
we have all the pictures of the basement. I don't see any desks down there.
No, there is. There's a big corner
corner.
desk and monitors and, on it day and night during the summer. But I don't think that that's inconsistent with my arguing it is not a bedroom, will not be rented out as a bedroom. We will not accommodate a bed there. We have a sofa there, that's true. It is a pull-out sofa.
Well, we put a plain one, take that one out.
It's very
Well,
hard to
I
pull out, by the way. I
there.
think I've pulled it out once.
No, I'm saying-
To try it.
I think for me to support this, there's gonna have to be some type of mitigation in here. There's gonna have to be a trade-off in terms of if you want to expand the second floor, we need to take away from somewhere. Because there's just too much going on this site right here. And then we're gonna need to talk about the outside. So, what I'm suggesting is, I mean, you need storage, and the cellar is a place to store it, and that's a cellar.
Do we
I'm not
need,
sure if that shed of yours is gonna remain where it is, or if you can find a place to put it. It certainly looks pretty good size to me, and I think with the decks, you're gonna exceed the 150, but that's probably gonna have to be moved.
so do you think that we just bulldoze and build a 5-bedroom house like you approved 2 sessions ago?
Well, that's not in front of us, ma'am. Your petition's in front of us tonight, ma'am.
But
So
I
why
know
don't
that
we
you
just
have
focus- why don't
some
we just
sense of
focus on that,
equanimity.
okay? So, okay, so is there anything else you'd like to add at this time, ma'am?
I'll think about what you've said about and somehow ensuring that the basement is a non-occupied space. There must be some way to make that.
Well, what I'm suggesting is you get rid of it. You take
What?
things out, like you take the bathroom out, you take the kitchen cabinets out. You bring it down, we'll let you keep the walls, but it's gotta be storage, basically finished storage.
Cabinets out.
I think we should ask to leave the bathroom and ask for relief and put a permit on that.
We-
Pull out the kitchen cabinets, but leave the bathroom. It's already done. Bring it to code.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard Mary Jane Yeoman's
I did.
comment,
She's gonna
but
have to speak into the
yeah, so
microphone.
she was saying that we definitely can strip the cabinets. It seems, and we want to bring the bathroom to code, the one that's in the basement. And I understand from Stanley that can be done with the space that we have. That would be my proposal.
Okay. You have a
Close
plan
everything but the bathroom.
that you would like to propose on that? You
I
need
ju-
to have a plan, ma'am, and you need to
Yes.
bring
Okay,
that
we'll get
for
you-
us for future relief.
We'll get you the plan on that. Separate
And we'll get you a
Well,
plan on the
I
deck,
don't know that- I
on
don't know
the,
that
on
we
the,
have a plan on that for this petition. I think tonight we're gonna make some decisions relative to this petition.
Right.
good, okay. But we were planning on moving forward on all four points that Mark Grills had identified in order to bring them into compliance. Absolutely, wholeheartedly, and with enthusiasm, we'll do that.
Okay. Well, I think right now I'm trying to find a way for me to approve what you've done upstairs and be consistent with the amount of space that you have on this lot, which is very small. I mean, your driveway, half of your driveway is in the town layout. You can't even fit a car on your lot right now. You're in the town layout. Did you know that?
What does that mean, town layout? I'm not familiar with that term.
The
Could you,
setback.
Your contract, you don't know what the town layout is?
Yeah.
the swale?
The
There
pad,
to there.
Oh,
See
okay.
that dark
All right.
line right there?
Yeah.
The
Where it
town
says
actually
asphalt.
owns that. Now, you can use it, but you really don't have sufficient parking on your property to handle cars. You're relying on the town layout for your parking.
as the house was built and has been ever since we've known it.
That's like a totally new and separate issue, so I'm not sure where that's coming
Well, I'm
into
just
play.
saying, so I'll just get back to this because we're gonna move it along. So my suggestion is there needs to be some mitigation. I've looked at this and I think that for me to support this, I think, and I don't think you wanna get rid of anything upstairs, you want that. So I think we would need to take away from the basement. That was not permitted. Whether we'd allow that or not right now, I don't know. But that's not before us. What is before us is a number of unpermitted building projects over the years. And now you're here before us tonight, and you're seeking to bring it all together and get our stamp of approval on everything you've done that's been illegal.
No, we're seeking a
So,
plan to go forward.
it's all fact specific, it's all case specific, petition specific, okay? Sometimes we can do this, sometimes we can't. But right now, the issue that I have is there's just too much going on in this house. You've got 3 full floors, it's a small house, it's a small lot, you got decks everywhere, you got sheds and decks with the sheds. So I'm proposing
Eliminate the basement.
that you eliminate the basement for all but finished walls. And that means take out the bathrooms, take out the kitchen cabinets.
Okay, so that addresses the basement area. You've got 2 other areas of concern. You have the deck, and then you also have the shed. So what do you propose on those as well?
Well, I may, before I say anything concerning that, I'm going to get some feedback from the board. So is there anything else that you would like to add at this time?
Who are you talking to?
I think we also.
I'm talking to the petitioners.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Marilyn? I personally, I know that the homeowner is more than willing to bring each and every area of concern into compliance, however you want it done. And I think it might be a dialogue going forward, back and forth, where we could, because it's a hard thing to decide right here and now what she wants to mitigate and what she doesn't. I believe it would behoove her to have some time to digest all of this and come up with a plan. She and her husband can discuss it and try to bring something before the board that might actually satisfy all your concerns.
Are you asking for a continuance?
Do you think we should at this point?
I want definitely to not make decisions on the 4 areas of concern that were identified in the report. We want to tackle them. We haven't had the time to address the best way to do that. I'm hoping to come to a good resolution on the dormer because it's sitting
Wide
very
open.
exposed
In the weather.
and if I guess that what you're probably going to be reluctant to do is to do something like that with just a promise that will deal with those 4. But I
No, ma'am,
promise
we're not-
you that
we're
we
not
will
gonna
deal
do
with
that.
those 4 to your satisfaction.
This is what we would do tonight, ma'am. We would either, if you just wanted to go forward with what you have and say you'll do everything and bring it up to code, we would have a vote on whether we would approve that or not approve that. You need to get 4 out of 5 votes to be successful. There are 5 members sitting tonight. I'm already a no vote on that. So if anybody else votes no, that means you're just sitting where you're sitting with a stop work order on your house.
And,
So it's
and no, if that's the way we go, a no vote means what?
Stop.
Stop
Well, it
and
would mean a lot of things. For one, you're in violation of the building code. You could be fined up to $300 a day. But that's not my department. That would be the enforcement department.
we definitely want to separate the new project from the old projects and then address the old projects to your satisfaction. Bring them into compliance, get
Well, that's
rid
what
of
we're
the
trying
deck.
to do
get-
tonight, ma'am.
Because right now, we have a structure that's open to the weather, and we realize you have us over a barrel because we need your approval, but we would like to close in the structure to the weather. And if we need to modify it in the future, however you want us to do it, but right now, the structure is open, exposed. We're having a bad storm, and we do need your approval to close the structure in, and that's what we'd like to get tonight. And we will address all these 4 issues another time, however you want to do it. And if it means she's got to rip out her entire basement, then that's something she's going to have to do. But right now, the roof structure is open to the weather. We would like approval to close it in and to finish it going forward. We did meet all of your requests from the last meeting regarding this one specific phase that we're talking about. We understand you have all these other concerns, and we can understand everything you do is going to be contingent upon those other issues being brought into compliance. We do understand that, but we have an open structure right now.
permission to
And we're asking for the board's relief to close up the structure.
Okay.
Weather tight.
Well,
And I would like to comment that I am listening to your suggestions about the basement and the deck.
And the shed.
And, not the deck, the
Shed.
shed. I don't know what we do with the patio.
Mr. Chairman, I also have another issue that I've determined.
Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
The field cards and everything have called this a three-bedroom house. And if you look at the plan from May 8th, it shows the first floor plan as 2 regular bedrooms, living room, and a study. I think the study may be called a bedroom under normal circumstances, because if you look at the plan from that same time frame, the everything, the new plan shows another bedroom and bath up there, cutting down the size of the so-called upper great room. And if you go back to the May 8th plan, that just shows his upper great room, all that, with a roof deck, I guess, but
That's wrong.
that drawing's wrong.
Yes, there's supposed to be a wall. What they has drawn there is the beam, the structural beam that carries the roof.
This one here?
Yeah, right there. It's supposed to be a wall right there. What separates
Before
that?
any changes were made, was the upstairs a vaulted upstairs? Was it a,
It's just standard height ceiling.
kind of a dormitory, or?
Oh, it was a bedroom.
There are pictures of it that you have from back then that shows that they're little tiny pictures. Oh, I know what it is. It's on the sheet that we purchased the house from, the ERA Cape Real Estate. It shows photos. I know it's very tiny, but you can see
shows
that there's a very
second floor
nice
bedroom.
second floor bedroom, and then there's a workshop with a sink on the opposite side. So, and it's described as having a second floor walk-up finished attic with peaks of the salt marsh, which we've never seen, but we're looking forward to. Perhaps
Well-
from our new tech, a salt marsh might be seen. I don't know.
Well, I think we can probably all agree that looking at the original property card, there was only one floor with an unfinished basement, and there were 3 bedrooms on the first floor. Could we all agree to that?
And 1 bath.
In 1 bath. You know what, I think this is what we're gonna do here tonight. I think I'm gonna ask to hear from the audience, if anyone's here on this petition. If they wish to be heard, please come to the microphone. Anybody in support of this petition, please come to the microphone.
Seeing none, Sean.
Okay, anybody in opposition to this petition who wishes to be heard, please come to the microphone.
Seeing none, Sean.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add, petitioners?
No.
No,
No?
thank you.
Okay. Well, what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna close this to the public comment. We're gonna go to board for discussion, and we're gonna have some comments and thoughts from the board relative to this petition. Mr. Martin, your thoughts?
I just think there's unfortunately too many ifs, ands, or buts as to what has been completed without permits, and the fact that they want to continue to complete that without, well, now with permits. I'm sorry, but I don't know. There's just too many issues I think that they have to address.
Okay. Barbara, your thoughts?
I think, I'm just totally dismayed at flaunting the whole permit process, so, you don't have my vote.
Okay. Jay, your thoughts?
Well, I agree with everyone as far as the permits and needing to have all that taken care of and cleaned up. At the same time, I don't want to have I don't want to have the homeowner get in worse position without being able at least to close in the upstairs. Certainly not to finish it, but maybe to make it at least watertight.
Other type.
And maybe get some feedback from the building department about how to go about doing that without doing anything else until they bring everything else get permits and bring it into code. I think that's a possible, reasonable approach to this, but, this is really bad. I mean, you can't expect us to make approvals on things that when it's this far down the road with so many different changes that are obviously done, and excuses after the fact just don't work, especially when there's 5 or 6 different things. So I'm having a real hard time even doing that much or even suggesting that much, to be honest. That's all I have.
Thank you. John?
I'm inclined to agree with Jay. I think we should offer them some solution to close that dormer up so there's no damage done to the house and creating another problem. So, certainly there's a lot of issues here. Everybody's aware of that, and it's all been stated. But I'm wondering if we can't do something, at least for that exposed dormer, and then, find other solutions to resolve these other issues.
Okay, well, one suggestion that I made is to remove the basement, what's been finished down there. Would the board be inclined to support this petition if the basement was now not a livable area, meaning the removal of the bathroom, the removal of the kitchen cabinets, and just leaving it as a basement for storage? I'm not suggesting they have to remove the flooring and the sheetrock. I don't think we need to do that.
Just a sink in the.
Would that be something, if that were done, would that be something that the board would then be inclined to approve the balance of the project, only the house itself?
Sean, to me, it's one more thing that just hasn't been permitted, so, it's like how they bring that into compliance. It may be just take everything out or make it, or get approval and a permit that would make it make it fit. So, you can set that condition, I guess, but I would prefer to say, allow them to only close it in to be tight and not do anything else until they work with the building department to get these permits cut and make sure they're in compliance with all codes.
Well, the issue that I have there is basically what we're saying is if you go get all that done, you can keep everything you have.
No, I'm not expecting that. No.
I don't
No, I'm
agree
not
with
saying
that.
that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they cannot get an approval, a permit that fits these types of things, they're gonna have to make changes. So whatever the building department comes up with for them that they have to do, they're gonna have to do it.
Yes, we understand that.
That's the bottom line, and they can work with the building department, I think, to do that, but I would hate to see them get damage done because they've started something foolishly that they didn't have permitted and didn't get done properly. So that's all I'm saying. So,
Well, I'm looking at this right now, and it looks like it's tight to the weather from my perspective.
well, I don't know if it is or isn't.
Hop on it, hop the
Now, I'm
roof,
looking at a
comply with
roof
it.
right now, and I'm looking at the whole second floor all wrapped. All the window openings are all closed, and the bottom part of the house is all tight to the weather.
I guess my question is, what needs to be done to make it tight to the
Half of the
weather?
roof has to be completed. The left half is already plywood. The right half has to be,
You talking shingles? That's it?
Plywood.
has to
Plywood?
have a couple more rafters and plywood on the right side. The left side's already plywood, it has to be shingled.
So,
Where are you cutting rafters?
If you look at it from the rear,
Yeah?
the right side, you're looking at it finished because you're seeing the gable. The gable's already done. The rafters behind that ain't done.
Oh, they've still got to come out and cut you've still got to come out and cut away the other roof to build that roof deck, correct? And then bring that dormer
No,
out?
no, it has nothing to do with that deck. Just where you see that
The
dormer,
roof line.
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
right
no, I see
side
what
of
you
those
mean
rafters
now.
aren't
They're
done.
going to extend that all the way out, yeah. More.
and I'm assuming, Sean, that anything that is not in compliance would have to be resolved. So whether it's that whether it's the new deck that now extends another couple feet, 4 feet into that side setback, or it's the shed, those things would all have to be resolved before they could move forward with anything besides closing into the weather.
I agree with that, but that's the building department's job. Our job is to determine whether this is substantially more non-conforming. So that's the standard that we're looking at tonight. Mark will look at whether they're in conformance with building codes based on anything that we approve or we don't approve.
Well-
So that's what we're being asked tonight.
Okay,
Whether
well,
we believe that what they've done,
for the one thing that they've asked for, I don't think is more non-conforming, because it's only 18 feet high. So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of non-conformance that they've done that has not been permitted. Those are the things that I think need to be resolved, and it includes coming back to us if there's things that need zoning requirements, before they do anything more than just close it in. That's all I'm suggesting.
okay. I would not be in support of that.
Okay.
Anyone else wish to speak?
I might also add, has anything been done or talked to with the Board of Health relevant to the shed being on top of the leaching field there?
No. I didn't realize it was until we saw one of the drawings recently. It's not very much on top of it.
But it's up on cinder block, so there is an airflow of the ground.
I'm sure the Board of Health would have to get involved in anything here anyway, because you have
driveways on
extra
it,
bathrooms that weren't approved. So there's a lot of things that you're gonna need approvals for.
Yeah, we understand everything has to be taken care of.
I mean, I came with that promise that we
Did we?
aim
I had
to
nothing
bring
do with all this other
everything
stuff.
in the four of the.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there, folks, for a second, because this is board discussion right now. If we want to come back to you, we will. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is, and I think Jay makes some good points about, you want to close it in, but the problem is the question before us right now is, I understand what they are asking to do, but we're being made aware of all of these violations. And so they have a new violation, they're asking us to approve and turn a blind eye to everything else that they've done. So with me, I can't do that. So I want to address the whole house. I think the whole house has 3 finished floors. I think it's too much for that site. It's a 6,500 square foot lot. It's got structures all over it, if we talk about decks and sheds and decks. And these things have to be addressed, and I think they need to be addressed in this petition. I'm not willing to vote to approve allowing them to close this in and then get with the building department and bring everything else up to code, and then they have 3 floors, which I think is too much. So what I've suggested is probably the least painful of what they can do, and that's remove the basement. Okay, and all I'm saying is take the bathroom out, take the kitchen cabinets out, you can leave the rest. And then I think we could probably move forward with talking about allowing them to finish. I'd be inclined to allow them to finish that with that condition with the basement.
So.
Is anybody else in agreement with that idea?
So Sean, you would be in agreement to approve this and allow them to just close it in, if they, number one, on a condition, removed or cleared out the basement, and number 2, conformed with all of the existing non-permitted work?
Well, what I'm talking about is, and I think we have to talk, we're gonna, all of this is going to be in a decision, because they need all of this really addressed.
Yes.
All right, because they could turn around tomorrow and get a violation notice just on the decks that they have. They could get well, we don't have the shed in front of us, so that's not before us, so they'll have to deal with that.
I
We're not
understand.
talking about that.
But I'm just saying, it's listed as one of those items that they're gonna have to deal with for whatever.
Yeah.
So,
But they didn't ask for that relief tonight, and where it's sitting right now, it needs relief. So I think they need a separate petition for that.
Well, for that and for the
As
deck.
far as the house is concerned, I want to deal with the house. Now, what they're proposing here, if they want to do it on the first floor, the second floor, they rearrange the roof lines to make it more aesthetically pleasing, they changed some windows around. That all moved in a positive direction. But I just think there's too much going on inside this building to just let 3 floors stand and just have them go in and get certified that they're up to code and keep what they're doing.
A quick question, Sean. So, and Mark, maybe you can chime in on this. So, if we go down in the basement and we remove cabinets and the half bath, is that what you're proposing to?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
looks like a.
So does
full
that?
bath.
But they still did a lot of work without a permit, Mark. Right? So.
Well.
That's correct.
So they still need a
alternative is
permit.
Tell them to tear it all out and put it back to where
Right,
it
that's
was.
the only way to
Leave it tonight.
satisfy. I'm sorry, that's the only way to satisfy that issue, get around the permit, is to rip the whole thing out, correct?
That would be the most draconian of the solutions, yes.
So what I'm saying is, we haven't really solved the problem by just removing the cabinets and the half bath with respect to the basement.
Well, the
Mr. Ch-
basement, I want to convert back to a basement. Right now, it's living quarters. I think anybody reasonable would take a look at those pictures and agree with that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mark Rills.
Sure.
The basement is finished. The basement does not meet the definition of a dwelling unit. The basement could be permitted by right without coming to the board. The Board of Health would, or the Health Department would have to apply for permits to finish the basement. But they are going to be required to conduct quite a bit of demolition in order for us to conduct our inspections to confirm that all the construction complies with 780 CMR.
Okay.
And this
Well-
same holds true with the other 2 dormers upstairs. And then I have a few structural questions that I'll address with the petitioner at a later date.
Well, I agree with everything you just said. But from a zoning perspective, I still have a problem with just too much going on this site for the size of the lot. It's a tiny lot. And so, to me, there's just too much square footage of living area for me. So, you've heard my suggestion. At any rate, we're gonna have to move this along to some type of a vote. I don't know why I don't know
The
that we
basement,
should
absolutely.
obviously continue this matter, because
Say that.
why would we continue it?
Carolyn, you need to speak up.
May I confirm
And
that,
hold on here for a second.
Yep.
We're talking, the board is having discussion.
Well, I mean, if that would allow them to finish that dormer, then I'd go along with that, Sean.
You'd go along to finish the dormer with what?
With, your suggestion on the basement, removing
Okay.
cabinets, et cetera.
Cabinets in the bathroom.
Right.
And that would be a restriction on this house, that it would not be finished. It would not become habitable space without further. You could come back to the Board of Appeals, but there'd be a condition in the decision that wouldn't allow that. Might a future board consider it? Maybe. I wouldn't, but a future board might. So is anyone else, all I'm suggesting is it may be a way that we can have a happy medium. It's the only alternative. If you're gonna say, go ahead and finish the dormer, then you might as well just say, go ahead, everything's fine. Just finish everything up, make sure it comes into code, and what you did is okay. And I don't think that the whole project is substantially more non-conforming. That's what a vote to do that would be. But I don't see it that way. I just think there's too much going on the site. I think everything together is substantially more non-conforming. especially if they decide to rent this house out. You're gonna have cars all over the place. And they have a history of renting it out. So I think it was probably safe to assume that that's what they will do in the future. Not that they don't have the right to do that, they can do it. So does anyone else have any suggestions?
Made mine.
Okay,
Say, Mr. Chairman.
Am I allowed to
Chairman?
say that my husband has retired and I am about to, and we plan on coming and spending more time here, not renting more? Just that for context?
Mr. Chairman, Mark Rose, Building Commissioner.
Rose.
What they're asking right now is can they make it weather tight? And by weather tight, they could plywood the roof, they could ice and water the roof, keep the windows closed up, and that could be done, without finishing it, at least make it weather tight. That's what they're trying to do to prevent any further damage inside the structure. And while we're working through the permitting process, there's quite a few issues with permitting we're all aware of. Would they be able to increase the height of their pre-existing non-conforming structure, which is what they're asking for, but until we come to resolution on that and wait for the remaining permitting to be done, can they make the dormer weather tight to prevent any further damage? I think that's what they're asking.
Yes, it is.
That's what I said.
and to answer that question, I've got no problem allowing them to do that, but that's not granting them the relief that they're asking for. If you wanna close it up to protect your property, that's fine. You can, as far as I'm concerned, but that's not.
Our request is to finish it.
That's right. That's your request. If you want to go over there, I have no problem with you securing your property. But you're asking to be granted the relief. That's what's before us tonight. And I think the board would not be doing their duty to just disregard all of the previous illegalities that have gone on in this property right here. And it was knowingly. It was not by mistake, and it was done so under this petitioner's ownership. So, we want to do that, and we don't take a vote tonight, we can continue it, but what are we continuing it for?
So, Sean, let me try something else here.
Right.
Given that they can just tighten it up on their own right now, they're not restricted from doing that, just to keep it weather tight. And what they ultimately want to be able to do is to expand this. Why wouldn't we say to them, how about a continuance or pull your current proposal and clean up all the issues first, and then come back to us at a later date for approval for a non-conforming extension of height?
Because then we're allowing them to get away with that illegal stuff that we may have not approved had they come before us before.
And they're not allowed to do it. They're not allowed to. They're out of compliance. They're going to get a violation notice if they do anything, because it's not allowed. So I'm just trying to find a
Mr.
way.
Frapery, are you suggesting that they withdraw the petition?
I'm suggesting they withdraw the petition, work with the building department to clean up the problems, close it in, that's it, but not finish it, because if you finish it, you're not going to be able to work with the building department to get the proper approvals and inspections anyway. Clean that up, and then come back to us and talk to us, show us what you've done, and ask for an approval.
What if you
Well,
don't approve it?
I won't put words in the building commissioner's mouth, but I don't think he can do that. Without our permission.
Well, he can certainly.
Stop work order on this is a violation of zoning.
Yeah. No. Okay. I've got nothing else.
Well,
Marilyn, you need to speak up.
why don't we try
Well,
to?
we do intend to bring all four of the issues up to
Ma'am, I'm
code.
sorry, I don't
keep
mean to cut you off,
repeating
but-
that. I'm sorry. I wanted
Bathroom and
the bathroom and the cabinets, absolutely,
She
we will take
take
them
the
out.
basement
The
out.
basement. She'll rip the basement bathroom out, she'll rip the basement cabinets
You're not
out.
going to get approval tonight. It's not going to happen. Okay? So what we're trying to figure out is what's the best way forward for you. Okay? That's what it comes
Well,
down
well,
to.
hold on, wait a second here, Jay. Let's talk about that for a second.
You said you're not going to
Oh, you're
vote.
willing to remove the cabinets in the bathroom downstairs, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's suppose they did, and let's suppose then, just for purposes of discussion, that we approve their plans, okay, as proposed, with the condition that everything that they're going to do has to be in compliance with the building code. If it requires removing any sheetrock or whatever is required from the building department, that's gonna be their determination, not ours. But that's my suggestion. That way, if we approved it with the condition that they remove the basement, the rest of it, they can continue on. We issue a decision, 20 days elapses, they close it in, then inspections are done, and Mr. Grills and his team determine exactly what building codes are necessary in order to bring this into compliance. Does that sound like something the board would agree to?
That's fine with me. I thought that's what I said, but that's okay.
Okay, then we're just using different language. So Jay and I are on the same page. Those of you at home who thought we weren't, but it comes full circle, we're on the same page. Okay. All right. Anybody else? What are your thoughts on that one, Barbara?
I agree with you.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I'm all for that, yeah.
Okay, and Dick, what are your thoughts? You think we could agree on that?
Not real comfortable, but I guess so, as long as they work everything with Mr. Grills that needs to be done and taken care of, even in after the fact.
Okay, so why don't I propose that somebody make a motion that we approve the relief, the special permit, as requested, with the following conditions. That on the lower level in the basement, the kitchen cabinets are to be removed, the bathroom is to be removed. They can leave the finished flooring and the finished walls, okay? So it will not be habitable down there. That they can finish the first floor and the second floor per the plans as presented to the board. And also with that condition, that they come into compliance with all building codes and Board of Health regulations.
So moved.
Thank you, Jay.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second to that? Any discussion on that? And that's allowing them to leave the existing decking that's outside, right? We're not addressing the shed, that's different. But the decking that comes outside that's been added to, we're gonna allow that as well, correct?
I think, would you like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, this is
Yeah.
Mark again. When we work through the permitting for the shed and for the deck and the remaining work on the property, then we can address the setbacks on those. And if further relief is requested or necessary, they will file for the relief at that time.
Okay, that's fine. That's a good idea. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have those conditions, that motion made with those conditions. The only comment I would make is, I think with that mitigation, I think that this building is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, the surrounding zoning district. I don't think it's gonna create any undue hazard, nuisance, or congestion, and I think it's gonna fit into the neighborhood well. I want to commend the petitioner for bringing that roof line up that we had concerns about before and make it more aesthetically pleasing, and also changing out those windows. So is there any further discussion on this?
No.
Hearing none, we're going to have a roll call vote. Mr. Martin?
Aye. Aye.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Frapery?
Aye.
Mr. Mantoni?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. That passes unanimously. Now, ma'am, there is a 20-day appeal period once it's filed with the town clerk. After that, Dolores will contact you. You can get your special permit. You need to take it over to the Registry of Deeds and record it and bring a copy back for our records. Do you have any questions about that?
No, thank you very much for finding.
Okay, you have one other form of relief that you've asked for, which is a variance. You don't need a variance on this because we granted you a special permit. We would ask that you withdraw that request for relief without prejudice, which means if you had to bring it back again, you could.
Okay, we'd like to withdraw that application.
Okay, is there anybody prepared to make a motion?
Make a motion to withdraw without prejudice.
Second.
We have a second?
Yep.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. We're gonna have a roll call. Dick?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. That passes unanimously. That variance request is denied without prejudice. Thank you very much, folks. We
Thank you,
are
ladies and gentlemen.
helping us work through this. Wish you the best. Okay, the second matter on our petition tonight is petition 5177. Hanuman Darshan LLC, doing business as Harborside Suites. The property location is 953 Route 28, South Yarmouth. It's in a B2 zoning district, and the applicant seeks a special permit per section 404.5.2 and 404.5.3 subsection 9 to create 35% seasonal employee housing at an existing motel. Good evening, counsel. Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gary Blank, I'm an attorney of counsel to the McCush Law Firm with offices in Sandwich and Katuitt. I'm here tonight to represent the Harborside Suites. Here with me via Zoom is the owner, Darshan Gandhi, and his operations manager, Kunal Patel.
Okay.
We're seeking the special permit to increase the number of units at the motel that can be used for J1 visa employees, students that come here to work in local businesses that are established in Yarmouth that depend on their summer season for most of their annual income. Harborside Suites is located at 953 Route 28, and that area is well suited to house additional J1 visa employees. Currently, they're permitted to use 7 rooms, which is 15% of the 46 rooms on the premises. They're asking to increase that by 9 rooms so that they'll have 16 rooms for J1 visa employee housing. That will bring them to 35% occupancy for J1 visa students. The motel is located at 953 Route 28, which is an area with other motels and hotels and retail and restaurants and even a bakery, so that it really does fit into the area, and it's compatible with the other existing uses on Route 28 and in that neighborhood, so the impact wouldn't be no greater than the impact for its current use as a motel. There would be no changes to the building, no changes to the parking area, and you all have a package so that there are several, I'm going to call them maps of the facility, and they're designed to show you the locations of the rooms that would be used for the J1 visa employees. They would all be interior rooms. The rooms already permitted are rooms number 127 to 133, and they would be adding rooms numbered to 141. And they're all on the interior corridor, contiguous to each other, and the maps are marked so that you should be able to determine the currently permitted rooms or units and the extension that we're asking for, which goes down the same hallway and to the right, so that there will be 16 rooms with J1 visa students in them. At the top of that hallway is where the on-site managers live. There's a married couple that act as the on-site managers. Their names are Jenny Ramkishan and Ram Ramkishan. There are also security cameras located about the premises. One of the maps of the facilities has X's on it, which are for the locations of the cameras. We have also included in your package 2 lists of J1 visa students. One list shows 20 J1 visa students that are confirmed that have been given spots at this facility, and we have provided their full names and their home addresses in the foreign countries from where they're coming. The second list shows 22 additional J1 visa holders that are pending. They're pending because they already have been hired by their employers, and their employers are all local Yarmouth businesses that need these employees. They've already hired them, they just need to house them. They are the Lima Cafe, the Blue Water Resort, the Hearth and Kettle, Skippy's, the Pancake Man, which is right across the street, of course, the Lobster Boat, and the Star Market. They're all local Yarmouth businesses that are struggling to find enough employees to cover them for the summer so that the tourists that they depend on for their income will be well taken care of. I'm informed that the Harborside Suites did house some immigrants when they were sent to us, and there were no problems. They have rules. There are a set of rules that were included in your package, and the rules include weekly cleanings. We can call them inspections also, purposes tonight. The rules will prohibit overnight guests, and of course, there'll be quiet time after 10 p.m. that will be enforced with the penalties that are recited in the rules. They have had their own fire inspection, but there is a town inspection scheduled for next week on May 28th, and they foresee no problems whatsoever. So by increasing the number of rooms, I submit that it's going to be very helpful to the town of Yarmouth and the businesses that are operating in the town that need these employees in order to satisfy their customers' expected this summer. I submit that there are going to be no real changes to the property. It will not create an undue nuisance or hazard or further congestion. It might reduce what would be, what the congestion might be if it were fully open as a motel. There's no substantial harm that I can foresee, but there is a significant benefit to help meet the urgent need to house the summer employees critical to the local Yarmouth businesses. And we ask that you grant the special permit to allow Harborside Suites to dedicate 16 rooms out of 46 rooms, or 35% of its space, rooms. In addition, well, that's the total percentage would be 35%, up 20% from the 15% of the rooms that have been allowed for this use. Thank you. If there are any questions, we'll certainly answer them for you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Blank. I think we're going to go to the board for some questions. John, do you have questions for the petitioner?
Yes, a couple. So you stated that they are all working in Yarmouth, right?
Yes.
All these folks?
Correct.
And how many of these employees do you plan on putting in each room?
Well, either 3 or 4, depending on the size of the room. Some rooms have 2 bunk beds. Some rooms don't have bunk beds, but have 3 beds.
3 or 4 per room.
Yeah, there'll be a total of, at the most, 42. Right now, 20 are confirmed, and there's a list of 22 pending J1 visa employees.
I wonder what the health code is.
And then, and how are these folks going to get around? They have their own cars, they
Well,
bikes, how do they get around?
I believe most of them use bicycles when they get here.
Okay.
And there is a bike rack on the property.
And I believe you said that the rooms you were going to utilize was 127 to 143, is that right?
Correct.
Is that 18 rooms?
Mr. Antoni, I believe
it
it
should
was
be
up to
16.
141. So
It
currently it
stopped
was
at
like.
141, okay,
Yep.
thank you. All right, that clears that up.
141 is correct, yes.
Gotcha. All right, that's all I have right now, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Jay, do you have questions for the petitioner?
First two were what John already asked, but is the hotel, is it 2-story or is it 1-story? I apologize for not knowing the answer to that question,
I
but
believe it's 1 story.
it's all 1-story everywhere?
Partially 1, partially 1.5.
Actually, 1.5. So
Thank you.
where these rooms are going to be located, there's no second floor?
Correct. They're all on the first floor.
All on the-
They're all interior inside the hotel.
Okay. I don't know what have you looked at the 404.3.5 code for the bylaw, and you've gone through all those different conditions, and you feel that all of those are met except for what number? Except for the 15%, is that correct?
Yes, 15% they already have a permit for the 15%.
I understand that. I'm just saying there are some conditions in the bylaw that have to be fulfilled in order to meet it. You have on-sites, you have on-site monitoring.
I believe so. They're all fulfilled.
Okay, and I believe there needs to be availability to, I think to a kitchen, isn't there a certain amount of kitchen space that's
Yes,
supposed to be available?
there will be a communal kitchen.
One communal kitchen, is that what it is?
One communal kitchen, but each unit will have a microwave and a refrigerator.
Okay. So as far as any cooking or things like that, it'll all have to be done in the communal kitchen.
Correct.
And where is that located?
There will be a unit that will be committed to their communal kitchen that has a kitchenette.
So it's separate from the housing?
Say that again, please.
Separate from the resident locations?
Yeah, well, it will be one of the hotel units that is
Adjacent?
adjacent, I believe, to the units the J1 students will be in.
Okay, okay. So it's all going to be a communal kitchen as far as most cooking is concerned. Let's see, what else are there? Principal place. And I'm assuming all these employees have been able to demonstrate they maintain a principal residence someplace else.
They are all coming from abroad, and we have the addresses for the people we could confirm.
Saw that.
We will get full addresses as soon as we can confirm the rest of the J1 students that are currently hired and have employment.
Okay, and have you, and I apologize for not knowing this, but have they housed students before or employees before?
I don't believe they've housed J1 visa students before. They have housed the immigrants that were sent to us.
I remember that part. So this is the first time they'll be housing J1s?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Barbara, questions for the petitioner?
Yeah, I've got some concern. You said they're going to get around by bike? I mean, how's that work at night? I'm concerned for safety riding around all the way over to Skippy's Pier.
Well, I think they have other options, but historically, I do believe that the J1 visa students that come to work here have transported themselves with bicycles. Most of the places where they're going to be employed are not that far away, so if they choose, they could call it Ubers or taxis, but I've been on the Cape for my entire life, and I've always seen them riding their bicycles.
I know in the past, we've had places like the Red Jacket, they actually provided transportation for the individuals that were going to be working on their facility to some of these places we've allowed higher percentages on. So that's why we asked the question, how is transportation? Is it going to cause a problem as far as parking, more congestion as far as driving, that type of thing? So that's why we're trying to understand that part.
Well, I could discuss that with my clients. It hadn't come up in our discussions.
Okay.
Hey, this is Kunal Patel. I can answer that. So
Thank you.
most of the locations are within walking distance. They can use bicycles, and if needed, they all have smartphones to use Ubers. So, and we do have some that are on the pending list with Red Jacket. And each time we talk to any of these people, before we confirm, we do make sure that they confirm with their employer that they would be able to either get to where they need to go to, or they would get transportation. So we've had some inquiries from Brewster. We say, no, you have to check with your employer to make sure you can make the commute.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, these people are all for Yarmouth businesses, which is the most important piece. So. Sorry, Barbara.
Why do some of these folks not have departure dates?
Well,
Some of them are uncertain of when their last day of work will be, depending on the business. They're going to be sometime in September, October, but they don't have a definite date where their work will end.
And why does the weekly rent vary?
It's variable by how many people per room. So if there's 3 people per room, it's 180. If it's 4 people, it's 150.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Dick, do you have questions for the petitioner?
I don't think I have any questions, no.
Okay, all right. Okay. I've got a couple questions. So just so we're clear, counsel, on number 7, there's going to be an on-site proctor for each property utilized as employee housing, so there's going to be an on-site proctor?
Yes, there'll be 2, a married couple, the Ramkinchens. They live on the property. There's a manager's unit that they're living in.
And the on-site proctor shall ensure that all seasonal employees are apprised of the rules and code of behavior prior to occupancy?
Correct. There is, included in the package, the rules. They're all going to have to sign something that indicates they'll follow all the rules.
Okay. And just finally, the name and contact information of the on-site proctor shall be submitted to the Yarmouth Police Department and the Building Commissioner's Office.
Absolutely, we'll do that.
Okay, okay. And did you say that these units have microwaves in them?
Correct. I did.
Microwave sinks. The only thing they're missing is a cooktop. They have refrigerator in them too?
Yes.
Okay. And none of them will be here beyond October 31st. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
Okay.
Most of them will be departing by October 1st, is my understanding.
Okay, all right. I think that's the only questions that I have. Anything else, any further questions from the board before I go to the audience? No?
No.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this petition? If so, please come to the microphone.
Seeing none.
If there's anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to this petition, please come to the microphone.
Seeing none, just the letter in the file.
Okay. I did see that one letter. Let me see here. Okay. This is a letter from Robert Mulvey, the Yarmouth Board of Appeals. Mr. Mulvey's from 10 General Hallway Road in South Yarmouth. In regard to the hearing this evening, 5/22/25 on the Harborside Suites appeal for a change of use to seasonal worker housing, I respectfully submit my opposition to this change. As a 50-year resident of the town of Yarmouth, I have a vested interest in seeing that the public tranquility is maintained for residents and visitors. Recent illegal gun sales at the Yarmouth Resort highlight my concern. Please deny this appeal in the interest of public safety and require the owner to operate as a licensed inholder, which contributes to state and local excise tax. Thank you for your consideration, Robert Mulvey. That's all that I have for correspondence. Is there anything else you wish to add at this time, Council?
Well, the letter you just read really is nothing that I believe these J1 visa students would be involved with. It certainly doesn't relate to the Harborside Suites or the way that my clients and Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Patel wish to run their facility. And I'm sure that if anything like that comes up, they would be on the town side and inform the police. Certainly would be against their rules and regulations.
Yeah, I think we tend to agree with you there, Council. I don't think we're requiring you to defend that letter.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, there is someone who's raised their hand on the Zoom.
On Zoom?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Yeah, Christopher Guerin.
Okay, what would you like to say, sir?
Well, I have two questions. One, the Harborside Suites website says the pool is unfinished, and driving by, it doesn't look prepared or ready to open. What's the status of the pool? Because on April 10th, this board had a similar case, but that owner promised to finish his motel for the next season, and it would be ready. So I'm just wondering what's the status of the pool? And number two, who is paying for the bill? Who is paying for the room at the room?
Who's paying for the room?
Is it the individual employers of Yarmouth, or who the individuals who are staying? Who's paying for the room?
Well, I believe the individuals who are staying there are paying for their rooms. They're paid salaries or weekly wages by their employers. I would ask Kunal to address the pool.
Sure. Darshan, I don't know if you want to address the pool. I don't believe we're going to be opening it this season, but Darshan, if you have any more info.
Yes, we are not in the midst of opening that this year.
Okay, thank you. That's fine. Anything else, sir?
No, that would be it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Guerin.
Okay, thank you.
Council, anything you would like to add before we close the hearing and begin board discussion?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to close the hearing to the public and begin board deliberation. Is anyone prepared to begin a discussion or to make a motion?
I guess I'd just like to say in support of the businesses in town, I know that this is a real need, and this is a reasonable way to start to see how this location works as far as expanding the employee housing beyond 15%. So I would be supportive of it, given that they obviously follow all the guidelines in 404.3.5.3, and I don't think it'll be a hazard or nuisance given the location.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, I agree with what you said there, Jay. I do think there's a critical need for employee housing in Yarmouth. Housing is just so tight, there's really nowhere for anybody to live, and the cost of housing, if you can find a place, is really, really high. And so I think it would be cost prohibitive for these employers to have to pay the rates that may be available, even if they could find it. I do know that it exceeds that 15% threshold, but I think the town of Yarmouth businesses are in some type of a crisis, and I think it's a good way for us to help them, as well as the hotel owners, to provide this temporary housing for these necessary employees. Having said that, is anybody prepared to make a motion?
I'd be happy to make a motion to approve, given the conditions under 404.3.5.3, that all are met, especially number 5, which is the maximum occupancy rate determined by the health department per unit. But other than that, I would move to approve the request.
Okay, as requested, but the only conditions are those conditions as set forth in section 404.5.3.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We have a second to that motion.
Second.
We have any further discussion on it? Hearing none, we're gonna go to a roll call vote. Mr. Mantoni,
Aye.
Mr. Frapery,
Aye.
Ms. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. That passes unanimously. Attorney Blank, as you're well aware, there is a 20-day appeal period after the decision is filed with the town clerk. After that, you can pick up your special permit from Dolores, our administrative assistant, and if you could file that with the Registry of Deeds and bring a copy back for our records.
Very good. Thank you
You
very
have a
much.
question? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We have one more item on our agenda. I am going to recuse myself from this. Mr. Frapery will be chairing this meeting. I want to thank you all and wish you all a good night.
Thank you, Sean.
Chairman.
Okay, let me read the legal petition in, and then we'll go from there, okay? And I just read the ones on the page, correct? So this is Maria Marasco, trustee of the Rose Marie Marasco Living Trust, 94 Pleasant Street, South Yarmouth. Map location and lot number 51.62, zoning district RS40. The applicant seeks to appeal the decision of the building commissioner to not act on request of enforcement action at 40 Crosby Street Extension. The applicant requests a waiver from the requirement for a certified site plot plan less than 2 years old. Mr. Igor was recused himself, so I will be acting as chair. Good evening.
Last but not least, right?
Yes. Would you please identify yourself for the record?
Sure. My name is Maria Marasco, and I'm the trustee of the Rose Marie Marasco Trust at 94 Pleasant Street.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You want to tell us about what you're,
Yeah, I don't know what's in your packets, but I did bring you some, there's the official letter that I wrote to the building inspector making the request.
You
Does
have
that,
that.
you have that?
I believe so.
Do you, and then on the appeal, there's supplemental information that was provided.
Yeah.
That's in your packet, because if
believe
not,
so.
I'm happy to provide it. But this evening, I brought you some photographs, if I might offer that to the board.
Are those additional to what you submitted?
Yeah, they're brand new today.
Thank you.
You can give them to me, and I'll just bring them into the record. Stamp them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I appreciate your role in taking the time to hear my petition today. And I wish to be very clear that this appeal is not specifically regarding whether or not the structure for which I seek enforcement of the zoning bylaws is or causes a private nuisance. So this is an appeal about whether a 40 to 50-foot pole or pressure-treated piling, otherwise called a utility pole, that weighs 1 ton or more, has extensions attached to the top, electricity surveillance equipment, plus another wooden platform capable of carrying 200 pounds or more of sticks, bird droppings, regurgitated fish, and other debris is a structure under the zoning bylaws and subject to permitting regulations and/or broad safety and other authority granted to this body and to the building commissioner. Or whether this 40 to 50 foot, I'm going to call it utility pole, and extensions and electricity is a quote-unquote customary yard accessory and exempt from permitting under section 2.03.5D1, page 30 of the zoning bylaws. So this appeal, again, is not about the use of the pole. It is because from April to October, it is a nest for 5 to 6 wild birds. It's about the pole and the definition of a pole itself and its proximity and the hazards it causes to my property, my pets, my guests, and myself. I'm here with these questions before you because the building commissioner, for whom I have the utmost admiration, and he's wonderful to work with, and we're very happy to have him in the town of Yarmouth, did not act on my request to enforce the regulations of this broad authority. I do have a understanding that perhaps legal counsel read the regulations in a different way, but that's why I'm before you. I will tell you that I am an attorney, and I previously enforced all the regulations relative to outdoor billboards in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, so I have a little understanding about conformity and non-conformity, but it's a long time ago. Therefore, because of the building inspector's failure to act, I timely filed an appeal to you and brought you these pictures today to better describe the structure. I encourage you, if you have time, to go see it if you're not able to deliberate on my petition today. Why is this important to me, and why do I firmly believe you have a responsibility to require scrutiny and permitting, if not removal or relocation? This is a 40 to 50 foot above ground, 1 ton utility pole or piling with extensions, electricity surveillance equipment, and a platform hovering over my property and beach, depriving me of the use of my property and placing me in the fear of having it fall onto me, my dog, my guests, if I ever get to use that portion of the beach, because I don't. Not only do I now know that it is capable of falling, I believe there's been 2 other poles and they have broken and they have fallen, so therefore it is more likely than not that the 3rd pole is going to break and fall. There are bird droppings all over my beach. It turns into a very bad situation. So not only do I have a fear of not going near it, but the bird droppings, as you know, are very dangerous and hazardous. There have been, as the best of my recollection, I know that the family is here, so maybe they have a better recollection than I do, but my recollection is that there have been 2 poles in this general area over the past 15 years or so. The first pole was erected and it was no birds for years, so nobody really thought about it, right? And I didn't see the first pole fall, but I saw the second pole being erected. And my mother and I asked the neighbors not to erect it, but they did. And, but most importantly, this is why I'm here. You're saying, well, if there were poles before, why are you here today? I saw the second pole broken and fallen, and it cracked completely on its base. And all I'm thinking is that, oh my God, there's this realization that this thing is a dangerous structure. It cracked and it fell, and because I saw it, it now makes this very real. I wrote to the building inspector, the Concom, and the town administrator. Now I'm before you, and I'm asking you to enforce the regulations for a pole hovering above my property, which I believe presents a hazard and a danger. So if Sean were here, I'm sure he'd tell you that I need you to make some findings if things don't go the way that I would like them.
Okay.
But that's all, and I don't want to take up your time.
Okay.
But that's documented in my letter to the building inspector, as well as the supplemental regulations. And I just have one other point, and then I'll stop.
Go ahead.
That's the lawyer in me, sorry about that. And a very concerned citizen. I don't think the Concom has the authority or right to override the safety, the regulations, the intent, and the authority of this board or the building commissioner. Notwithstanding that they approved this pole as part of a mitigation plan, it doesn't override the building regulations. And notwithstanding that, the minute that pole cracked and fell, I believe it became illegal, non-conforming, and therefore subject to the building inspector and your jurisdiction. And that's, again, assuming about and deciding that you deem this a structure. And so if it were located any place else, on somebody's property line with the possibility of falling, you'd be all over it requiring a special permit.
Is that all?
For now.
All right. Before we go to the board, I just wanted to clarify some things. I know you feel that this is covered, but we did get some feedback from town and town council.
Yeah.
And so I probably should read in the letter, the memo that we got from Mr. Grillis. Or I can ask him to say it himself, but I'll read the letter.
I don't have it.
I'll read the letter.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So it was to Sean, he was the chair,
Yeah.
from Mark Grillis. April 29th, utility pole, 40 Crosby Street. I received a request to enforce certain sections of the Yarmouth zoning bylaw and 780 CRM-MA State Building Code via letter dated March 13th. I did not respond in time frame required. However, provide the memo to the board. Having spoken with Mark Lapointe, Mass State Building Inspector, as well as Town Council regarding this request, it does not appear that any of these concerns are enforceable. Paragraph 7 of the March 13th letter requests the enforcement references the Yarmouth zoning bylaw. Sorry, I have a cold, so I was like. Table 203.5, footnote D1. Specifically, the letter contains only the words any other customary yard accessories. The full context of 203.5 footnote D1 reads, fences, poles, posts, paving, and other customary yard accessories. Customary yard accessories are in addition to fences, poles, and posts. Not that those are listed are considered customary yard accessories. In fact, poles are specifically excluded. So just I want to make an identify on the poles. Paragraph 7 in the March 13th request also referenced 407.7.8, which does not exist. He assumes that the reference was a typo and you meant 408.7.8, which reads as follows. Fall zones, communication towers, whether freestanding or part of another structure or building, must be set back from all property lines by at least the total height of the tower structure and how do you say that? Apertures? Anyway.
Wrote it.
Okay, whatever. This paragraph specifically refers to communication towers and not utility poles. Utility poles does not fall and meet the definition of a structure of a Yarmouth zoning bylaw. It doesn't have the communication functions that you'd normally see on top. So I think the challenge we're going to have is that really none of the zoning bylaws really adhere here. So I'm going to go to the board to ask questions, but that's our challenge right now.
Yeah, and I can happy to rebut.
Okay, look, why don't we give the
Yeah.
board a chance? Dick, would you like to ask any questions?
Not really. I think I would have to agree with the building commissioner that this is a pole and he has no authority over the pole, and the apparently exact location has been for years accepted by the Conservation Commission as well. So I don't know that there's a whole lot we can do about it. I mean, we love having the natural wildlife live on the lower river as well, and I think the chance of it falling on somebody's head is, nil, to put it mildly. So that's all I have.
Barbara, do you have any questions?
No.
John?
Just a couple. So you're estimating that the pole is 40 or 50 feet high, correct?
Yeah.
And how far from your lot line is it? 15 to 20 feet, is that what?
Less than 10 feet.
Right, so half of it would end up on your property.
More
if
than
it-
half, because it has extensions.
Right, hey,
It's got
roughly.
these turrets and whatever else, and there should be a safety zone as well.
And the new pole, this is a wooden pole? It is wood.
It's otherwise
pole.
a telephone pole.
So, again, there's nothing specifically in the bylaw that requires us to take action on this. So, I mean, what are you asking the board do for you?
Well, I'm
You
asking.
want the thing taken down and removed?
I think it is something subject to your jurisdiction, and this is why I really want I need a full record, but I think I can convince you. If I put up a 7-foot fence, would you have jurisdiction?
A what?
7-foot fence between my property lines, Mark.
No.
If I put up a 15-foot fence between my property lines, would you have jurisdiction?
Yes, not for zoning, but for building.
There you go. And that's the distinction. We're talking about a 1 ton plus, and this is just from Eversource's records as well as a typical utility pole, that is planted in unstable ground. Who the heck knows how it was stuck in the ground? I got a good guess. There was a hole that was dug and it was stuck in. Now, Dick, with all due respect, it can fall. It has fallen. To the best of my recollection, twice.
It can fall.
And it broke completely at the base. Why? Because it's in the wetlands and it floods. And who the heck? Mark didn't inspect this pole. Where'd the pole come from? China? I don't know. I mean, that's really the crux of it. So my other point is that, let me just be clear, because it's been a long night. Okay. Under Massachusetts zoning law, structures such as fences, walls, poles, posts, paving, and other customary yard accessories, that's the threshold, may be exempt from permitting requirements when they are customarily incidental to residential use. However, when a structure such as a utility pole is repurposed for non-utility, non-incidental, or highly conspicuous purposes, it ceases to be customary and instead becomes a regulated structure. I beg to differ with the interpretation of Mr. LaPointe. Customary is a modifier to the to the structures listed before. And I'm going to say, how do I know this? Because I was responsible for overseeing the review of all the regulations for the executive branch under Governor Weld, so I do know a little bit about construction of regulations, et cetera. But this is, as Sean said earlier, it's a reasonable mind. A utility pole stuck up on a property line without any structural engineering or oversight by your group or Mark, you're just going to let them pop up all over Yarmouth? So my other point is that a pole remains a pole, but its use, okay, it could be a pole under that thing, but its use transforms the legal character of what that is. So the term pole in zoning bylaws, and I don't feel, I apologize, I'm really not lecturing you, but this is something that is very important to me. The term pole in zoning bylaws refers generally to a vertical post-like structure. A wooden or composite utility pole fits this physical description, regardless of its use. However, zoning laws do not exempt all poles. They exempt customary yard accessory poles. So a flagpole that's 50 feet in the air, I can imagine that it might be subject to Mark's jurisdiction, to your jurisdiction. This is weighs over a ton. If you want to Google it, a 1-ton pole falls at a rate of 47 miles per hour. Who the heck is going to be able to run out of that? That if it ever cracks, and it could crack and fall, okay, on my property. I don't want to assume the risk on that. It also has platforms, surveillance cameras, and sound equipment, and it was installed without regard for setback, fall zone, or the neighborhood character, and sound engineering, most importantly, sound engineering. So, if we need to keep this open so you can talk to council in order to make a decision. Massachusetts case law.
So my question is,
Massachusetts case law does say that you have the court emphasized that customary requires the use to be habitual, ordinary, and reasonably expected in a residential setting. So I guess you'd have to ask council whether or not you have to find that this use is habitual, ordinary, reasonably expected in a residential setting to overcome the fact that it is not a customary or ordinary pole that would be otherwise exempt. And I guess I have to ask you guys, you want, any of you feel comfortable living next to a pole hovering over your property, depriving you of the use of your property? I don't know. Mr.
so
Bertoni.
again, so what are you asking that we do? You want the pole taken down, removed?
That's I want the building inspector to enforce the regulations, and there are alternatives. Remove it entirely. Move it where the fall zone is substantially beyond my property line, or two, make it require a special permit. And quite honestly, as a matter of public policy, I would think you would want it covered under a special permit, because that would mean that Dennis is going to look really nice and Yarmouth's going to look like it's got a bunch of telephone poles all over the place.
That's all I have.
Okay. I don't have any questions. I just disagree with your interpretation of the bylaw. I read it specifically outlines poles as excluded. You're referring to communication towers. This is obviously not a communication tower from a fall zone perspective. So
No,
I
I'm
just
not referring to.
I just want to extend now to the audience and see if there's any feedback. Is there anybody that would like to speak? I guess let's start in favor of this petition. Okay. Please give us your name and address, et cetera.
Lydia Wilkins, 40 Trenton Street, Manchester, New Hampshire, but I have a house at 30 Homer.
Okay.
I don't know if it's applicable, but in case it is, Could this be considered a piling within 100 feet of Bass River and fall under wetlands protection?
Wetlands did, Conservation has reviewed this. They came up with the replacement, and that's what basically we're dealing with.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Anyone that would like to speak against this petition in the audience? All right, well, I have a few letters that I need to get into the record. So bear with me as I go through some of these. Let's see, the first one is from Kevin McNamara. And my name is Kevin McNamara. My family and I have resided at 243 Old Main Street on the corner of Crosby Street for 27 years. To my memory, the Osprey platform in question has been there the entire time. Years ago, walking our young children down to the river on Crosby Street Extension, we would always stop and admire the active nest. I'm going to summarize a little bit because they go through some description. Please consider when evaluating the platform at 40 Crosby Street, my wife Peggy and I are complete support of having it remain there. Sorry, I didn't go through the whole thing, but that's, in essence, gives you the sense. All right, the next one is from, let's see, who is it? Sean Groover at 39 Crosby Street Extension. We are writing to express our support for the Osprey nesting habitat platform pole that is located on 40 Crosby Street Extension for more than 25 years. As a neighbor, we have enjoyed watching the osprey come back year to year, similar to the first letter, and I would hope this board understands how important that this is and that we in the community get the ability to see this natural wonder for many years to come. That's the second one. I've already read the memorandum from Mr. Grillis. And the last thing I have is
Excuse me, Mr. Frapery, there are 2 items you should have.
2 items? The 2 I read did you get those 2, or there's 2 more?
2 more. There's one from Mr. Marasco and one from Attorney Beerhans.
Yeah, the attorney, I'm getting to the attorney one. Let me just find Mr. Marasco's.
total.
Yeah.
Okay, this will work.
Which Mr. Marasco?
This is from Mr. W. Marasco on, be your brother, I think. Anyway.
I will not admit to that.
I have reviewed petition 5176, and it contains incorrect information. The property at 94 Pheasant is owned by 2 trusts. It is my understanding the trustee of the other trust, Judge Reardon, of which I'm a beneficiary, is not aware of nor consents of my sister's objection to the Osprey pole at 40 Crosby Street. Furthermore, I lived at 94 Pleasant for over 20 years. During such time, the pole was present, and I have only enjoyed having the osprey there and would never consider them or the pole any type of danger, inconvenience, or nuisance. The osprey have been inhabitants of the river long before we have, and they need to be protected. I don't know if I want to. I am also amazed that my sister would complain to the board at B of A over an infraction of town rights, given she is willing to violate the rights of abutters on Surfside. Anyway, my sister does not represent, own, nor control 94 Pleasant as an abutter with standing and a beneficiary of 94 present. I have no objection to the poll and would request the B of A deny the request. So, then we have a letter from the law offices of Bruce A. Beerhans, I guess. It's a long one. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll summarize for you as best I can. The Yarmouth Zoning Board of Appeals, the Office of A.J. and Tina Luke, an appeal number 5176, which is scheduled for hearing on May 22nd, 2025. I regret I am unable to attend due to prior commitment. The appeal concerns Maria Marasco's request to the Luke family to relocate the existing osprey nesting utility pole in their yard. And it goes in to basically argue that the 2 quotations that you put into the record or quote are not do not require any enforcement. Now, I'm summarizing it. I can read the whole thing if you'd like, but it clearly identifies those zoning bylaw sections and the feeling that both that 408.7.8 is not a communications tower we're talking about, and that it specifically refers to poles, et cetera, in the other section as being excluded. So, given that, as you may already be aware, Mrs. Marasco has unsuccessfully appealed to the Yarmouth town officials regarding Luke's utility pole for over a decade. For example, in 2014, they appealed to the Conservation Commission, who denied her appeal. Also complained to the Board of Health in 2016, and was denied. Beyond the utility pole, Mrs. Marasco has complained about other activities of the Luke family. Don't need to bring those out. Overall, the utility pole is not a large looming danger alleged by Mrs. Marasco, but merely one for compliant intended to harass the Luke family. For the aforementioned above reasons, I am requesting Mrs. Marasco's appeal be denied. Okay, so those are the, I believe those are the four record, to get them into the record. You'd have to come up. And is this for or against, or just a question?
Against. My name's Josephine Rogers, and I live in Middlebury, Vermont, but I own a house at 11 North Cove Landing.
Okay.
And I just want to make it clear that the new structure that they put up,
Yes.
It is like 10 feet higher than the last one, and there's a much bigger platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I just am confused that the town has not regulated it at all. And is that true? I mean,
We don't
it
have a
sounds like-
bylaw to regulate this type of thing, so.
But the building department also considers it just a pole? Because
Yes.
it is a structure. I just want to be clear about that.
I understand what you're saying, but the way it's defined in our bylaw is it's a pole. It's not a structure. That's-
So,
And our responsibility here is to, review and uphold the bylaw as it's intended, as best that we can. And that's what we are here for. And in this case, we're being asked to override the building commissioner, who also works with the town to try to identify any issues that might be there. So,
I'm
anyway.
not asking you to override the building commissioner. I'm asking to illuminate the building commissioner, and as you as well, and to reinforce the fact that it is an incorrect interpretation to take the word pole in and of itself, because by his own admission, it says fences, walls, poles, and other customary yard accessories. If this board is trying to say that customary doesn't modify any of those things before, then Mark can't enforce my putting up a 20-foot fence between my properties or a utility pole all along my tennis court because I feel like putting up a pole. Now, let's be reasonable about this, because Sean did refer to that's really the context in which this is supposed to be meant. Also, the zoning bylaws are meant to enforce safety. All right? I'm telling you, the realization that this is the second time it's cracked within 20 years, can fall down. I saw it, I have pictures of it, broken, cracked at the base, crashed their fence. What if my dog was running around there? What if I'm running around there? And does it not matter to any of you that from April to October, I've got bird crap all over my beach? I mean, the health considerations along. And yes, I have been unsuccessful because I think the importance of it hasn't been realized. And again, you have to take this in the context, and those letters are really a little self-serving, perhaps.
I had to read them.
At least my brother, because he's suing me, and that's why Sean isn't here, because he's representing my brother. This is about a pole, a utility pole. It said empty for years, so it was just a utility pole, and nobody understood the consequences of it. So I think that I would like to ask you to continue this so I can respond to Mark's letter, because I didn't see that before, and I can cite to you and to town council the Massachusetts case law that does talk about what is customary and what isn't. to actually make you feel like you actually do have the authority
You may have
to
a,
interpret what that customary is.
may have a different source that you need to take that to from the building, from the state building laws or whatever, but we're in the zoning board. Our job is to look at this. We've interpreted it the best we can. So I'm going to close this now to the public and just open it up.
Can I ask you if both of these will be in the record?
What's that? The
The
pictures?
letter to Mark and also the appeals?
Ma'am, that is already part of the record. It's been in the property
I
folder,
wanted to
yep.
confirm that, Florence. Thank you
Yes,
very
and it
much.
will be listed on the minutes, so you'll be able to see that. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. So I'm going to close this to the public and just,
Someone else wants to speak?
I'm sorry, this is a little out of order.
a little out of order, yes, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Kenneth Rogers. I live at 11 North Cove Landing. Our family's lived there for almost a century. There is no, all along Bass River, from the Bass River Bridge to the mouth of the river, there is no other structure that potentially holds the harm to the community that this pole represents. Now, it may not fit in your interpretation of your responsibility, but it is a very unusual structure and it has a potential harm. So before you close out in your analysis of whether this fits, I would request as a tax-paying citizen of this community that there be some study of whether there is a risk of this pole or not. And the people that have mentioned this about they enjoyed seeing the birds up there is a pleasant way to understand something. But from a point of view of liability on behalf of the community, there is no other structure along Bass River that I'm aware of, from the from the mouth of the river all the way up to the source of the river that has the potential devastation that this pole has. And with the stuff that's been added to it, and if a hurricane comes up, it could actually be cracked by a hurricane. And it's right in the path of how hurricanes come up Bass River. I've seen 3. And so I suggest that you might consider that there really needs to be some independent study as the potential liability of this pole. And that's my
Thank you.
request.
I think if that were to be done, then the suggestion should go probably through the planning department, which would be more appropriate to look into any types of things like that. But anyway.
Can you please have that in the minutes?
All right, so I'd like to close this now to the public and just open this up to the board for discussion and see if anybody's willing to make a motion. Anybody willing to discuss this? Dick? You may.
I think our hands are tied pretty much by the definition of pole here. I don't know if your neighbor has given any consideration to moving it further from the lot line, but I'm sure that's doesn't want to get involved with conservation again, and where they've already stated it can and should be. So, but again, it's a definition issue that I don't think we can get around.
Barbara, you have anything?
No.
John?
I guess, so 40 Crosby, it's on their property, right?
Yeah.
And how close is it to their dwelling? Is it close? No, it's down by the river.
It'd fall on their
On their property, but
On their-
not,
yeah.
it wouldn't hit the dwelling.
their kids, their dogs.
And they have
yeah.
no concerns about it?
You'd have to ask them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry?
No, and I guess if they want it that much, I suppose they could or should put it in the middle of their yard, and I would think that the Concom, if you're saying that they override the building department, which I don't think they do, maybe that's a question for them. but you have to see it and experience it in order
took a
to
ride over it.
understand my fear.
Yeah.
I'm not making it up. Do I like the birds screaming at 5 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night? No. Do I like not being able to go out and be quiet after a long day's work? No. But this is about safety. This is about the definition of whether or not, and I guess what I'm hearing Mr. Martin say, and Ms. Murphy, and perhaps you, Mr. Manfrey, that you believe that this pole is a customary yard accessory. Is that what I'm hearing?
As it's defined in our bylaw, yes.
Okay. And so just for the record, I would like this board to note that the petitioner would like them to review Harvard versus Maxent, which is the Supreme Judicial Court has ruled, is what is included in the definition of customary. So
I'm sorry,
I
I'm
understand.
sorry, ma'am, we closed it, and that is not in the record. It was not provided. We have to go by the information that we were given.
I already stated it earlier before you closed it, actually.
But
I
it
did
wa-
cite
it
Harvard
wasn't
versus
provided.
Maxent.
It wasn't provided to us before, so I'm sorry, but it can't be added to the record. I don't believe. Can it?
No, you're talking about the bylaw tonight, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so is anybody,
So, wait,
is
can I
anybody
ask-
prepared? Ma'am, we're done. I'm
I
sorry.
have a question.
The board is now talking about what we're going to do, so.
Sure.
If you would please. Would anybody like to make a motion? No one?
I guess I'd like to make a motion that, how do we want to do this? Positive, negative?
I believe we just want to uphold the building inspector's
Okay, yeah.
opinion.
That we would like to uphold the decision of the building commissioner to not act on the request for enforcement action for petition 5176.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I'm going to do a roll call vote, if we could. John?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so it covers 4-0. I'm sorry, ma'am, but we uphold the building commissioner's opinion.
Okay, I know I've got 20 days to appeal, and I'm sorry that we're going to be on the wrong side of each other.
Excuse me, ma'am, just so it's clear, it's 20 days
From the notice to the,
when the decision is filed with the
Filed
town
with the town.
clerk, not tonight.
no, I know that. Thank you.
To make sure it's clear.
Thank you very much. All right, so, other business tonight. We have a couple sets of minutes. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes from
May 8th.
May 8th?
I make a motion to approve minutes from May 8th, 2025.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we also have executive session minutes that I have to abstain from, I guess, right? Because I wasn't there. Can we do that with only three?
Three?
Yep.
Someone make a motion to approve the minutes from the executive session from May 8th?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Barbara?
Sorry, so
And we have a 3-0 vote to approve those minutes from the executive session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. That's 4-0 to adjourn.